Hey y'all, and welcome to Politibrawl. My name is Brian, and as we all know, Don Lemon is just a mediocre interviewer. He was never great at asking good questions or even hard-hitting questions, and the moment you push back against him, he usually melted like butter on a hot skillet. But let's be honest here, that's a big reason why CNN kicked him to the curb, because he just could not cut it in a cutting-edge news era where you have to be clickety split, okay? And then he's reduced to just talking with average Joes on the street, and even they are starting to really just bite him in the butt. Like this dude, when it comes to the topic of trying to understand why women voted the way they did in 2024. But before we dive in, I want to give a quick shout out to our great sponsors over at Colonial Metals Group. Even though Donald Trump won this election in a landslide, you still need to protect your wealth with gold or other precious metals, and that's exactly what Colonial Metals Group can do for you.
Women I've been talking to are really concerned, and they're emotional, and I think a lot of them have a right to be.
Politicians aren't perfect. They're imperfect like everybody else. Trump's rhetoric isn't for everybody. His style isn't for everybody. We got a lot of good things done under Trump.
Okay, then what they did, meaning a woman's right to choose, is removed under
That's
Trump.
not the only issue in this world, okay? A percentage of the female vote went up 2%. So are those women crazy? I mean, it's not 50%, but it's high 40s, and he got that. So ask those women. Like, they voted for Trump. So clearly, it wasn't just abortion was the issue. Now, I agree. Even in very Republican states, pro-choice amendments have done very well, okay? So it is a concern. I think most people are pro-choice, okay? But at the end of the day, there's a lot of people, there's other things. They're concerned about the broken border. They're concerned about crime. They're concerned about inflation. They're concerned about a lot of other things. So women are not one-dimensional. Men are not one-dimensional. And so if you're upset about abortion, great. If that's your prime issue, then go live in a state that's pro-choice. If it's not your one issue, like a lot of people vote for Trump, you got other things to care about, and he'll fix those things. Not totally, but he'll do his best.
I think it's easy for you to say as a man.
Well, dude, it's easy for me to say about a lot of things. Sure, I'm not a woman. That's why I don't opine on abortion.
Okay, this dude's awesome. And Don Lemon's out here trying to give a gotcha question to some random dude on the street. That is the level that he has stooped to, and he'll never recover. All right, there are some times where you can make a big mistake, and one day you'll be a novelty act and you'll be allowed back on the air. You know, like Keith Olbermann. Eventually, Keith Olbermann got so annoying that everyone just kicked him to the curb. About 3 or 4 years later, he got another show, but of course it didn't last because it's the novelty. And there's no novelty with Don Lemon. At least when Keith Olbermann was on air, you were at least treated to something absolutely crazy, absolutely insane. But when it comes to Don Lemon, you get a lemon. You get a lemon. You get one of the weakest engines out there. It's always falling apart. You have to repair it constantly. Man, that's really the best he could do at his peak, isn't it? Trying to talk about the abortion issue like it's the single most important issue. Listen, Donald Trump did better with female voters in 2024. It's almost if, and I really hate that I'm ripping off Tim Pool on this, it's almost if women buy more eggs, butter, and milk than they get abortions. It's the economy, stupid. James Carville was right then, he's right now, and he's also saying that the left-wing woke crazies are the people that have just been destroying the potential of the left. And he's an old school lefty. And when someone says an old school lefty, what they really mean is a nice version of a communist. Not this weird anarcho-communism that the wokeists think that they're doing, even though they're really just perpetuating the Maoist cultural revolution. Hey y'all, I'm not exactly looking at retirement anytime soon, but my parents are, and friends of my parents are, and I'm sure either you or someone you know is looking at retirement and wondering, what do I do? How do I help prepare for this in this economy with this terrible president and with a vice president who basically coup d'etat him and is now looking to run for president herself? How do you protect against this? Well, simple. You go over to my friends at Colonial Metals Group. They quite literally have something called the Retirement Package Plan. This plan backs your wealth with gold and silver accounts. And furthermore, you will have direct access to these accounts. So you're not at the whims of Wall Street. You're not at the whims of inflation. You are in command of your own destiny. As a bonus, Qualified applicants can receive up to $10,000 in free silver, plus a couple of other little goodies that they're going to package up for you, and you're going to be able to protect your wealth and your retirement. So go over to this link in the description below at colonialmetalsgroup.com or call this number 800-203-0422 and see how they can help you prepare for retirement today by backing your account with gold and silver. Don't delay your retirement, folks. Protect the money that you earned with Colonial Metals Group. They're here to help. So Don Lemon thinks that all women care about the abortion issue. The most staunch anti-abortion people I have ever met in my life are women. Okay? Because, let's see, when you cut someone out of the womb, about half the time, you will have cut out a woman. So, which rights are you talking about here, Don? Now, which rights? Let's go. Let's talk about them. Let's have an honest debate about the abortion issue, shall we? We can't have an honest debate, however, in this country, because when one side says and just completely denies the science that you are removing a human life from the womb, often for the sake of expediency, and you deny that basic science, it's going to be tough to have a conversation. Now, here's one I'm willing to have. Why are people more motivated to get abortions? And that's because there's been a breakdown of the nuclear family. And I think that the nuclear family is faster to decay than the traditional family. The traditional family would have sometimes 3, sometimes 5 whole generations living under one household. You want to solve the housing crisis in America? And you want to solve the abortion issue? You need to make it easier to raise families. Okay? Viktor Orban has some good ideas about that in Hungary. Some people call him a dictator. I call him a visionary in at least some regards. And we need to start talking about how to sort of reverse engineer a lot of the ills of the United States. Ironically enough, the single family home has been a surprising issue. It's great for the single family. It's great for bringing up generational wealth. But it's tough to raise more than one family in a household. I should know. Ultimately, we need to start thinking about how to redesign homes, how to redesign our suburbs, and that's going to be up to our localities. That's not something that's going to happen at the federal level. That's going to happen at the state. That's going to happen at the local. That's going to happen in your towns. That's why it's so important to talk about the issues that you don't think really affect the main ones. For instance, if you were to talk abortion, you need to talk about different issues entirely. Why are women so willing to basically unalive their own children? And there's a whole lot of factors that go into that. So that's why I don't condemn people that get abortions. I have great sympathy and empathy for these people. I understand why. The moral part of me just screams in agony and in anger. But I think I'm going to end with this, because I think I've made this point so well. I think I'm going to end with a different point entirely. This dude is just spitting the facts. The guy in the interview is just telling the truth. There's more to the election than just abortion. There was the economy. There's a housing crisis. I've kind of touched on that. Kind of touched on the economy as well. There are so many other factors that go into this. Foreign policy, a military that couldn't seem to get its head out of its rectum when it was trying to leave Afghanistan. There are a lot of problems that we need to fix, and the current administration of Biden and Harris wasn't fixing anything, mainly because the Democrats have become the party of the status quo. And ultimately, you know what? I'll end with this thought. I think the biggest issue the Democrats have, and James Carville was right, I brought this up earlier, it's the party of rich white liberals and their children. And when you actually look at graphs of women voting, you'll notice that the numbers shifted rightwards for the first time in a while. And you'll also notice that minorities are starting to vote more and more for Republicans because they're not the party that's in charge. They're the party that's talking about reform. That's what Donald Trump ran on. He ran on it successfully, so successfully that he's the first Republican to win the popular vote since 2004 and only the second since 1992. That is an impressive feat. And it goes to show that there is something to this new coalition, and hopefully we're going to start solving some of these problems. Unfortunately, Don Lemon isn't just can't understand what the problems are. He is too deeply involved in these rich white liberal circles because that's what he tried to feed and he failed. And he's never going to be able to understand why. Ultimately, I'd simply have to say to him, bless your heart. Folks, my name is Brian. Hope you enjoyed that segment here on Politibrawl. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Catch you on the next one. And until then, y'all have a good one.